All right, I think we are recording. So I'm so pleased tonight to introduce our presenter, Jordan Long. Jordan is a licensed marriage and family therapist and completed her master's in marriage and family therapy from the University of Southern California. Jordan specializes in working with anxiety disorders, life transitions, grief and loss, chronic physical challenges, and psycho-oncology. Jordan is greatly passionate about supporting the mental health of those impacted by cancer and has led support groups and workshops at CSC for many years. She currently facilitates a few of our groups here. She has also found success and enjoyment in working with people who struggle with phobias and obsessive compulsive tendencies, and has extensive training in working with neurodivergent children. Jordan integrates cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness, exposure response prevention, and strength-focused work into her practice while emphasizing the importance of the mind-body connection. She considers all facets of a client's identity in her work while approaching each individual with empathy and respect. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Jordan.
Great. Thank you so much, Rachel. And it's so great to be here with all of you. Let me just share my screen for a moment so you can see the workshop. Okay. All right, here we are. Let's see. Okay, wonderful. Yes, so as Rachel said, my name is Jordan. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm so grateful and honored to be presenting this workshop to you all. So as you all know, this workshop is on cancer and the holidays, and specifically navigating relationships. So just a little workshop overview right here. Won't go through all of this, but basically what I will be talking about today is different relationships and different situations that may come up during the holidays that are specific to cancer. I will be talking to people and, about people and for people who are experiencing cancer, caregivers and loved ones, bereaved individuals, kids, friends and acquaintances, kind of all the situations, all the settings, all the different types of roles that you may have. And I will provide some resources throughout, some tips and tricks. And then at the end, as Rachel said, we will have a time for questions. So to start us out, as I'm sure you all know, and you've all heard many times before, but each situation is very unique. So what I will be sharing in this workshop are generalizations based on common themes that I've seen in my work with people affected by cancer, and they're also supported by research. The topics that I will share can apply to people, basically what I said, all different types of roles, all different types of situations. But remember that each person's cancer journey is unique and affected by many factors. You may not be able to relate to everything in this workshop, but I hope that you can pick out parts that apply to your journey and find support that way. So first, let's talk about the statement of the season, that it's the most wonderful time of the year. So during this time of year, the world tells you that you should be joyful, that everything should be right in the world. There is sometimes a feeling of societal pressure to make this time joyous and special. And with cancer or grief, you may not be feeling this joy at all. If you are feeling this way, you are absolutely not alone. The holidays are a very tough time for many people, not only those affected by cancer. And this statistic in the blue bubble that the snowman is sharing with us says that according to the American Psychological Association, there is a 42% increase in stress during the holidays. And actually, of that 42%, 31% of people say that this stress increases pre-existing anxiety and depression. So holiday blues, holidays anxieties, they affect millions of people, and they are very normal. So I will give some tips and tricks during this workshop as well on how to maybe combat the holiday blues and the holiday anxieties. So one major thing that could increase stress during the holidays are first and cancer firsts, lasts, and cancerversaries. If you have not heard this term before, it is a made-up term for cancer anniversaries. And the holidays are a time marker. They're a way to gauge the passage of time. With cancer, there are a lot of firsts. The first holiday since diagnosis, the first holiday since treatment started, the first holiday without your loved one. There could also be a feeling of lasts, that this could potentially be your last holiday season with your loved one. Cancerversaries remind you of your date of diagnosis, your date of starting treatment, your date of remission, or a date of loss. You may be hit with the reality that last holiday season you were healthy, or that last holiday season your loved one was present. These are all extraordinarily difficult, as they are a reminder that life is different than what you once knew. So whether you are a person with cancer, a caregiver, a bereaved person, you have a lot of responsibilities, which can feel very overwhelming, especially during the holidays. You are trying to keep up traditions while taking care of your family, and also attempting as best you can to take care of yourself. So remind yourself, it's a metaphor that I like to use, that you cannot pour from an empty bucket. So in other words, you need to take care of yourself before you take care of others. It's kind of the same thing as you put your oxygen mask on before you put it on others. So try to find ways during the holidays, especially, to fill your bucket or to take care of yourself so that you can do what you need to do and you can take care of who you need to take care of. Examples of ways to fill your bucket can include the basics of just eating, sleeping, getting outside, getting enough exercise, or it can be something that feels a little more special, such as taking a bubble bath or reading a book. This, of course, is easier said than done, since you probably don't have too much free time when cancer is involved, but try to remind yourself that taking care of yourself is a way of you taking care of others, of your loved ones. So you can't pour from an empty bucket. Just try to remember that as best you can. And expectations. So as mentioned, you may feel a sense of pressure to keep everything as normal as possible during the holidays. This is a very well-intentioned sentiment that unfortunately doesn't always work out. The fact is that the holidays are already different because cancer is in your life. So I encourage you to try not to pretend like this holiday is the same and that it's normal, because it's not. You can create an open dialogue with friends and family, including your kids, about these differences. And I will talk about more specifics to kids later on in this workshop. So you can manage your expectations by knowing that you may not be able to do everything that you usually do. You may not have the capacity to join in on every holiday festivity, and that is absolutely okay. We'll talk about social gatherings in a moment, but you do not have to feel obligated to attend every social event or gathering. It may feel like a difficult balancing act to try to remain part of traditions and remain part of the holiday spirit while also taking care of yourself. However, remember to always put yourself first. Cancer takes an immense physical and emotional toll, as you all know, and you deserve to take care of your own well-being. So, a little side note, but I have kind of a funny but useful way to measure and to report energy levels that I would love to share with you all. And this is called the spoon theory. So I don't know if anyone has heard of this, but this is the spoon theory. So what it says, it was made for people who are experiencing chronic illness. And it is a way to measure your energy levels and also a way to share with others what your energy levels are. So this could be very useful during the holidays when you're talking to loved ones about your capacity to do certain activities. So the spoon theory says that every person wakes up with a certain amount of spoons each day. Daily spoon count is affected by pretty much anything in life. It can be affected by illness, stress, lack of sleep, personality, really anything. And the spoon count can also fluctuate throughout the day. So for example, if you do something to fill your bucket, that may add another spoon that you have to use during the day. So let's use a holiday example. Picture that your family has planned a full holiday fun day filled with gingerbread house making, ice skating, and a holiday meal to top it off. Let's say you are a person with cancer, or you're a caregiver, or you're a loved one, or a person experiencing grief, really anyone. But let's say you wake up with 8 spoons. So you know that every day you have to shower, you have to eat breakfast, you have to get dressed, kind of do the normal morning routine. So you conclude when you wake up that this normal routine may take 3 spoons, let's say. Then you think about the activities that you have for that day and conclude that gingerbread house making may take up 2 spoons, ice skating possibly 4 because it's physically active, and then dinner is maybe 2 spoons. So this puts you over 8 spoons. So you can decide that gingerbread house making and dinner is your priority. Maybe that's because certain family members will be there at that time. Maybe that's because that's what you like to do. Whatever it is, that's what you decide. So you decide that you may skip ice skating so that you have enough energy and you have enough spoons to put in your best self to be as present as you can be for the other activities. So this is a holiday example of how to allocate spoons and how to reflect on energy levels. And as I said, spoons are an excellent way to say for yourself, to kind of monitor your own mind, your own body, and say to yourself, okay, I'm feeling like I maybe have 10 spoons today, whereas yesterday I had 6. But it is also a way to share with your loved ones what your energy capacity is for that day. So just something to think about, but I will put a link at the end of the presentation if anyone wants to research that a bit more. Okay, so now we are at pressures and uncertainties. You may feel pressure to have a fantastic holiday season because of cancer and because cancer comes with an uncertain future. Cancer is pretty much the epitome of uncertainty, and you may have a lot of what if thoughts going through your mind. So for example, what if the treatment doesn't work? This is my loved one's last holiday. What if the cancer comes back? These thoughts, of course, elicit feelings of deep sadness and fear, and may be accompanied by a pressure to have the most perfect holiday season. So first off, if you are feeling this way, your feelings are incredibly valid. You are allowed to feel scared, sad, and anything else. To take some pressure off of having a perfect holiday, first acknowledge that nothing is truly perfect. And what makes something feel perfect is when you do something that it adheres to your values. So what you can do is reflect on what you value most and what you're looking forward to most during the holiday season. Examples can be, of course, quality time with family and friends, but it could also be something that you really are looking forward to, like having your aunt's famous mac and cheese, or if you are looking forward to giving your nephew a special gift. So you can choose a handful of values and wants from the season and put your focus towards these items as something to look forward to and put your focus into, and the rest will fall into place. You can also ask your loved one who is experiencing cancer what they value or desire most from this holiday season and let them guide you. So I'll talk a little bit more about that further on. So some tips to stay present. Staying present is extremely difficult, especially when you have a lot going through your mind, maybe a lot of what if thoughts, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. So some tips to stay present are breath work or meditation. And there are great meditation apps out there that you can look at. Breath work, when you do deep breathing, it is important to remember to exhale for longer than you inhale. So if you inhale for 3 counts, you exhale for at least 4. You can engage the 5 senses. This is a really great way to stay present and to ground yourself. So the 5 senses of sight, hearing, touch, I'm missing some, smell, taste. So all of those are a great way to stay present just by engaging those senses. So now I will move on to social gatherings during the holidays. Social gatherings during the holidays and also other times can be very, very complicated. And when Cancer is involved, it does add another layer to social gatherings, and add some things that you may need to consider. So if you are a person with Cancer, if you are a caregiver, if you are a person who is going through some grief, a lot of people in your social circle may know what you are going through, but a lot may not. You may be nervous for people to see you if you haven't seen them in a while. You may be nervous to anticipate what questions people might ask. You may just really have no idea what to say. So something very important to remember is that you do not owe others anything. You have the right to share as much or as little as you would like. You have the right to politely change the subject if you need to, and you have the right to not say anything at all. Cancer is a very intimate and vulnerable experience, and comfort levels and desire to share really is dependent on each person. So some people are very open to answering questions and sharing their experiences. Some people are not. Really just depends, and neither is right or wrong. So something that you can do if you really don't know how a social situation may be, you don't know what you want to share, what you don't want to share, is you can use a tool called visualization. So it's kind of a form of meditation, very similar to that. But you can just think about to yourself, okay, I'm going into this social situation. Where will I be? Will I be in a friend's house? Will I be outdoors? What will the setting be like? What people will be there? Am I excited to see certain people? Am I not excited to see others? Who is going to be there? So you can think about all those little details and notice what feelings are coming up for you when you're visualizing. So are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling excited, shy? Pay attention to those feelings that are coming up when you picture yourself going into that social situation. And these feelings will tell you a lot about maybe how you can approach those situations. So since this is a visualization, it may not be completely accurate, of course. You don't know what exactly it's going to be like, but it's a good tool to anticipate, to mentally prepare, and to be reflective of maybe the feelings that could come up. So if you are in a social situation with a lot of people, it can be helpful to have a safe person. This could be really anyone. It could be a spouse, parent, friend, it could be a child, it can be anyone. But if you need a break from the bigger gathering, you can check in with this person. So it's a great idea to speak to this person beforehand and let them know, hey, I really, I might need support during this social gathering. It might be overwhelming for me, or I might need help if someone's asking me a lot of questions about my cancer experience. And you can talk to this person about what you may need from them in advance, or kind of how you will let them know, maybe give them a signal if you need their help. So an example could be is that, you can, if you're feeling anxious during a social situation or uncomfortable, then you can go up to that person and say, we need to go help check on the cake in the kitchen or something like that. So that's their signal. They know, okay, you were feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling a little anxious, let's go to a quiet place, or let's go talk about it, something like that. So it's really just up to you, but you can identify whatever your needs may be, and I'll have some further examples of that. Okay. And boundary setting, very challenging, but also necessary with cancer. It really, boundary setting just parallels your physical and your mental capacity, and whatever you need that day, those are your boundaries. They could change day to day, but you are allowed to express your needs. So an example of boundary setting is, you could even say to family, you could say, I don't want any cancer talk. I don't want any questions when we're having dinner, right? You can set that boundary. Or you can even say, there are some questions that you can ask me, and I will let you know when I don't want to answer some. So you can kind of set that stage before a social situation. Those are some examples of how to set boundaries. And again, very, very difficult to do. But if it can help you going into a social gathering, then you are absolutely allowed to do it. So go-to responses. This is kind of similar to what I was just saying with boundaries, with the safe person, with whatever you need to express when you're in a social gathering. But it could be helpful to have a line or a few lines just ready in your back pocket to say to people in social gatherings that either summarize your experience or wards off any questions. So no matter what your role is, no matter, if you are a caregiver, if you are a person with cancer, if you are someone going through grief, you will most likely get an abundance of how are yous during social gatherings. Everyone will say, how are you doing? How are you? And it can feel like a lot. So having a line that is ready to say, if you don't want to dive deeper, if you maybe just want someone to go away, or if you maybe just want to share a little bit about your story, that can be something really great to have. So again, it's really, really up to the individual person what you do. But here are some go-to response examples. So how are you? Some examples that you could say are, I am managing treatments and taking care of myself. And that's kind of a one-liner that you can say to acknowledge how you're doing, and leave it at that. Another option is, I think about him every day, and keep putting one foot in front of the other. So this would be significant to grief. So that's another example. Other ways that you can respond, whatever works for you, but you can just say, I'm fine. Thanks for asking, or thanks for your concern. I'm good. And that kind of signals to the other person too, okay, maybe it's not time to dive deeper into conversations about the cancer experience. And sometimes also you can just tell someone, you can be very direct with how you're doing. And if they're ready for it or not, that is not up to you, right? You just need to do whatever you are comfortable in the moment. So another idea is how to end a conversation or a question. And the responses from how are yous can do that as well. But you can also have more direct responses or more indirect responses to kind of ward off questions or get away from a situation. So a direct response could be, thank you for your concern, but I do not feel comfortable answering that question right now in the setting ever, whatever feels right for you. So that's pretty direct. And then indirect were to just say something like, I need to use the restroom, I need to help someone in the kitchen, and move away from that situation. So you can have a few of these in your mind, in your back pocket, just when you're going into social settings. And you don't have to, take these word for word, but really make them your own and do whatever feels comfortable. So some quiet moments as well. We have social gatherings, but we also have quiet moments during the holidays and times where the holiday blues, the holidays anxieties may be more present. So isolation. In addition to, or instead of feeling overwhelmed by social gatherings, the holidays can also feel extremely isolating. It's that time of year where people gather, and if you do not have a strong support system or have nowhere to go, it's a lot, and it can feel extremely isolating. And then of course, cancer compounds all those feelings. So if you are immunocompromised, if you cannot travel due to treatments, or just do not have the capacity to be around people, those also produce some feelings of isolation. If you do find yourself feeling alone, feeling low, try as best you can to do something that brings you comfort. So if you can't attend the social gathering, you can FaceTime or Zoom, or you can make yourself a nice meal, put on your favorite movie, and just remind yourself of your strengths and your amazing qualities. Another thing that could produce stress are finances. So finances may not be as stable as pre-cancer. You may have to budget and manage some financial expectations, especially during the holidays. It brings on a lot of feelings when you feel that you cannot provide for your family, maybe in the same way, or you can't engage in the same activities as previous years. So certain organizations, such as Walk with Sally is one of them, that they provide, if you're a family that's part of their program, they provide presents for kids, Project Angel Food, among other resources. They can assist with food deliveries. So I will put some links to these at the end of the presentation, so you all can research those. And those are also on the Cancer Support Community website. There's great resources for financial aid, legal support, food, transportation, all of that. Going through treatment during the holidays is very, very challenging. You may have to schedule holiday plans around treatments or treatment plans around the holidays. You may also not be able to contact your doctor as regularly, and there's a great sense of comfort in having regular checkups or treatment sometimes. And during the holidays, you may not have that, so that can produce a sense of anxiety, just something to be aware of. You may also anticipate that you will be feeling the effects of treatments during the holidays, and that you might have to rest or not be present for some moments, or not participate in a holiday meal or a certain type of dessert that you always look forward to, and that could feel very disappointing. So food is a big part of the holidays, and unfortunately, your appetite may not be the same, your taste may be off, and you just may not feel great. And sometimes when you can't participate in holiday meals, it feels like can feel a little isolating. It can feel like you're not really part of the holiday spirit. It is okay to make modifications if you need to. And also, if you need to bring your own food to a gathering, that is an option. But food is a tricky one, and especially going through treatments, then it can really fluctuate just how you're feeling with food. So just pay attention to your body and know what you may need to do for yourself, if you're going to a gathering, or if you're having a holiday meal. So rethinking traditions and managing expectations. When cancer is present during holidays, you may experience a feeling of pressure to keep the traditions alive. If you have the capacity, you can absolutely try your best to keep traditions going. But it is okay if you have to make modifications, and it is okay to create new traditions and memories. So you can rethink traditions, right? Traditions are great because maybe they're passed on from generation to generation, or there's something that you created with your family or with your friends, but traditions are not set in stone, right? You can always make new traditions, you can always change them, and those modifications can become the new traditions. So for example, instead of going ice skating with your family like you do every year, instead you can create a new tradition or a new memory of baking or watching a movie. There's so many opportunities during the holidays and so many ways that you can be creative. So not doing the same tradition doesn't mean that the holidays are over. There's always something that you can do to celebrate and to engage. So as I talked about, as I mentioned previously, it's really important to talk about it, to open that line of communication with loved ones about how expectations for the season may be altered. You can talk openly to your loved one who has cancer to see what their capacity is this holiday season and what they envision themselves doing, maybe what they feel like they can't do. Of course, nothing is predictable when it comes to cancer, so you can address that too. Just say, we can take it day by day. We can do whatever works, whatever is in your capacity. And this open line of communication is very necessary for kids as well. So the conversation around expectations and traditions, it is very challenging when it comes to children, as the holidays are a time of wonder and a time of magic for many kids. Honesty is really key when talking to kids, because kids know no matter what age they are. Of course, you have to be developmentally appropriate, but kids are aware of a lot. And so it is really important, if you can, to be as honest as you can with them. This fosters a shared sense of mutual respect. And it also shows kids that they are allowed to talk about tough topics with you, and they're allowed to express your emotions. As many of you know, I'm sure parenting comes with a lot of behind the scenes work. So if you're going to have a conversation with your kids about traditions or holiday expectations, definitely prepare for it. Do a little behind the scenes work. So what this looks like is that you can think in advance about how you will respond to difficult questions. Some of these difficult questions you may not be able to prepare for, but others you may be able to. If your kid asks a question that you do not know the answer to, it is absolutely okay to say, wow, that is a really great question. Let me think about this and get back to you. Also very important to time the conversation. So don't bring up this major, managing expectations, rethinking traditions during the morning rush or on the way to an activity, because this will be an important conversation for kids. As the holidays are kind of a magical, fun time. So try, if you can, to gather all the members of the family together and be really present with the conversation, so that the child knows that they have your full attention. So they can ask you questions, they can express concerns, all of that. A great thing to do is to name the emotions. So, for example, you can say, this year is different because dad has cancer, and you may be feeling sad or scared. You also may be feeling happy and excited for the holidays. It's okay to feel both. So that is super important, that piece, to address that the feelings can coexist. But by naming the emotions, you are sharing with the child that they are allowed to feel these emotions, and they can share these emotions with you. So that's a big point. And providing an alternative is also kind of one of the major points when talking to kids. So providing an alternative or a plan B is very important, so that the kids don't feel lost or uncertain if the plans don't go as hoped. So even if there is uncertainty, as comes with cancer, you can make the kids feel held and secure by talking through potential plans, by talking through potential alternatives to a situation. So an example of this could be, since mom is going through treatment and feeling more tired than usual, we are not going to have a big Christmas dinner this year. However, we will do a movie marathon and order takeout from our favorite restaurant. So something like that. So you're saying, okay, this is not going to be the same as it has been in the past, but we're doing something else that's fun. So the child knows, okay, I can feel sad that it's not the same, but I can also feel excited about the new tradition, and they know what to expect. So another example could be, we are not sure how mom will be feeling on Christmas Eve. So if she is feeling bad, so if is using the we're not sure, grandma will take you to church instead. So it's providing them with a plan B. And then, of course, with kids, with everything, you may need help. And asking for help may sound especially difficult during the holidays, when you know that everyone kind of has a lot going on. But if you need help with wrapping presents or getting dinner together, then the people that love you will want to help. And everyone is kind of in the giving spirit, the wanting to provide support during the holidays. And so I'm sure your loved ones, your support system, will be glad to help you out with whatever you need. We'll be glad to help this holiday feel special for your family. So there is a great resource that Cancer Support Community provides, and that also I have done a workshop on previously, and it's specific to needs of children. It talks about developmentally appropriate ways to talk to children, dives deeper into having difficult conversations regarding cancer. So that is something as well that I will link at the end of this workshop. Okay, so here are some do's and don'ts when you are unsure of what to say at maybe a gathering or one-on-one to someone who's experiencing cancer. So first, let's look at the don'ts category. So although it may feel uncomfortable, not acknowledging the cancer to the person experiencing it can actually make them feel more isolated in their experience. So this is, of course, a personal preference and kind of a personal perspective, but I do think that it is more beneficial to the person and to your relationship to acknowledge what the person is going through. So this does not mean to ask a ton of questions right away, but just acknowledge that you are there for support. So so examples of that can be such as, hi, it's so great to see you. I want to acknowledge that I'm aware of what you're going through. I'm aware that you're going through treatment right now, and I'm thinking of you. So just leave it as that simple, acknowledging that you know what the person is going through and that you are there for them. And then they can kind of take the reins with if they want to share more about their experience or if they don't want to. Another example is you could say something like, this must be kind of a strange holiday season for you since diagnosis. I am here to support you and to talk if you need to talk about it. So that's another way to share your care and support. And again, based on the person's response, you can gauge if they would like to talk about their experience more or not. And it truly just depends on the person, but you can use your common sense, your social awareness, your knowledge of that person to assess what they need in the moment. But acknowledging it is usually a good step to do. So another note going off of that is don't be afraid to ask. You can always ask what the person needs or wants. I have heard from so many people experiencing cancer that they would love to have others ask them more direct questions regarding their comfort level of their experience or their capacity to share their experience with others. So an example of how to ask someone what they're feeling in a certain situation is you can simply say, are you feeling okay to talk about your experience in this moment? Or I have some questions about what you're going through. How do you feel about talking about it right now? Or in anticipation of a social event or gathering during the holidays, you could say to someone, how are you feeling about going into this setting? How do you think you want to approach it? Is there any way that I can help you with that? And another don't is don't only talk about cancer. As you all are aware, there's so much going on in each of your lives besides cancer. Cancer is a big part of it, of course. But there's a lot going on. So if you are talking to someone who is experiencing cancer, then ask about their family, ask about their favorite, TV shows, just other things besides cancer. Is very helpful to people. And some do's. So do continue to invite your loved one with cancer to social events. Don't assume that because they're going through treatment that they don't want to attend events. Again, really depends on the person, but the invite always feels good. So the person may decide that they're not feeling well enough to come, but they still received the invite. So that is a do. Another do is read the room. You know your loved one best. You know if they're the type of person to want to talk about their cancer journey or not. Even if they are not someone who wants to talk about it, it's probably still important to acknowledge it, as I said, and to acknowledge that you're thinking of them. And also part of read the room is, of course, timing the conversation well. So don't ask them personal questions in front of other people or maybe in a crowded space. It may be better to wait if you're alone with them or in a more comfortable space to acknowledge what they're going through and maybe to ask them how they're feeling about the social gathering or just how they're feeling in general. And lastly, you can offer to be the person's safe person. You can say to someone in the social situation, you know, this may be a really overwhelming setting for you. If you need a quiet time, or if you need me to help you move away from a certain conversation, let's set up a code word, or let's set up a phrase or a signal that we can do to each other across the room, so that I know when I need to come support you. So this is the same safe person that I mentioned in previous slides, but you can always offer to be that person for someone. Okay. So some final thoughts today. The holidays will be different with Cancer, and that is okay. Navigating relationships and needs will be tricky, and that is also okay. Remember to give yourself grace to do and to be and to say and to feel whatever you need to during this time, and acknowledge that this is a difficult time. It is, and that is okay. Again, everything is okay. So here is the Frankly Speaking About Cancer guide. What do I tell the kids? So Cancer Support Community does have this PDF guide of ways to talk to children about cancer, ways to support them. And as I said, I also, I have done a workshop on this previously, and so that's something that will be linked in case anyone wants to learn more about how to specifically address cancer and difficult situations with children. Some cancer support resources that you may already be aware of, but we have the Cancer Support Helpline, we have Open to Options, and also Frankly Speaking About Cancer. Some national resources. So of course, Cancer Support Community. On this, we have some resources for children and families, such as Camp Kesem, such as Walk with Sally. We have the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, and Project Angel Food is the one that helps with food deliveries and support that way, and the cancer legal resource as well. So thank you so much for joining this workshop today. And if you have any questions, then I would love to help you out, but thanks all.
Thank you so much, Jordan. It was just so informative and helpful in the examples that you gave to kind of anticipate some of these interactions and to come up with a script. I thought that was such a wonderful point, alongside just the permission to kind of know capacity and what you need in this season. I'm going to stop the recording.